Edinburgh 2010. 34-year-old bookkeeper Suzanne Pilley had disappeared, and police were certain she'd been murdered by her colleague and former lover, David Gilroy.
There clearly is a belief that you are a murderer, that you killed Suzanne Pilley. What do you say to that?
Oh, that's not the case.
DCI Bob Williamson worked on the case.
I was working as a detective sergeant within the CID, Criminal Investigation Department within Edinburgh. It was then Lothian Borders Police. I was also trained as a crime scene manager, which allows you to assist an SIO in an investigation around anywhere that may potentially be a crime scene or a scene of interest for the investigation, and assisting in gathering any evidence or instructing searches, organising searches in that area. Due to that skill, I was taken on to the investigation by the SIO to carry out that role.
Having searched the basement of the office on Thistle Street with cadaver dogs, police traced Gilroy's movements in the hope it would lead them to Suzanne's body.
The movement of David Gilroy over the 4th and 5th of May 2010 can be boiled down to a series of events where he's attempted to maintain a normal life, fully in the knowledge that he has murdered Suzanne, and is making plans on how to hide her body. After he's killed her, he is then advised another colleague that he needed to return home. He's collected his car and brought it back into Thistle Street Lane. At some stage during that, he's then moved Suzanne from below the fire escape area and placed her within the boot of his vehicle. Finished his work, driven the car home, and met his wife and family for a function at the school. He's then attended a local restaurant in Edinburgh and then returned home, having made alterations to his calendar.
By examining Gilroy's digital footprint, police could see that on the day Suzanne disappeared, he created a work meeting in his diary that would allow him to travel to Loch Gilphead in Argyll the next day, a round trip of around 260 miles.
He's then attended a meeting at Loch Gilphead Community School to examine the football pitches that were under construction at that time, which was a surprise to the janitor at Loch Gilphead, who had said that he was under the impression the meeting was to happen another day, and he then cancelled a person that was supposed to be coming with him for that meeting, which was also unexpected, and he drove that route himself to Loch Gilphead.
And by examining CCTV and phone data, other red flags emerged.
The first was the route that he took. He would normally come up the west side of Loch Lomond, across the Rest and Be Thankful, and then down to Loch Gilphead. We know this because he had taken that journey a number of times with another individual from his work.
But on the 5th of May, Gilroy chose a longer route that led him up to Tindrum, round to Inverary, and down to Loch Gilphead. He had also switched off his mobile phone.
That should only take about 40 minutes. However, on the way to Loch Gilphead, it took David 1 hour 33, and on the way back 1 hour and 50 minutes, which clearly brings in a bit of a question as to what was happening. Now, that area from Tindrum to Inverary is a very remote road. There's forest tracks that are accessible to vehicles, but would certainly be a suspicious situation if a vehicle such as a Vauxhall Vectra was driving along. The underside of the vehicle, when it was forensically examined, revealed scuff marks on the base and some damage to the spring coils. That led us to believe that it potentially headed down a forestry track. There's lots of opportunities along those routes for him to have driven off-road with the purpose of hiding Suzanne.
Despite police not finding Suzanne Pilley's body, on the 23rd of June 2010, David Gilroy was arrested and charged for murder.
Given that Suzanne was someone that David was supposed to love and care for, and was part of the reason he didn't want her to finish the relationship, his actions after her murder are certainly cold and calculated. When the evidence started to pile up and the wider investigation discovered aspects of it, such as the discrepancies in time in his journey, coupled with the switching off of his mobile phone, which then made it difficult to track him at those significant spots where the discrepancies in the journey appear, yeah, there's been a huge element of planning to go into that, and he has had time to make that plan, given that he had killed Suzanne in the morning of the 4th and didn't leave for his journey until the late morning of the 5th.
In 2012, David Gilroy was convicted of Suzanne's murder and handed a life sentence where he was ordered to serve at least 18 years behind bars. Despite extensive searches, Suzanne's body has never been found.
The area that we're looking at can be described as a mixture of rural countryside, highland areas and planned forests. It's a massive, massive search area. The potential of where he could go, particularly if he's got knowledge of the area, and we believe that David was interested in wild camping, so would know a lot of these routes that were maybe off the normal walking routes that people would take. So when we factor that in, an hour and a half on the way up and an hour and 50 minutes on the way back down is considerable time to be able to find a suitable spot for hiding someone.
Police Scotland are still hopeful that they'll find Suzanne's body and have maintained contact with her family throughout.
Rob, her father, has since sadly passed away, not ever having got the answers that we've been trying to get him and bring Suzanne home. The fact that we couldn't get Suzanne back in time is still a painful thing for us. We still reassure Suzanne's family constantly that we'll do anything we can to find Suzanne, and that any information that comes to us, we'll make sure that we follow up on, and we'll always keep them involved. David's lack of cooperation is very frustrating, and I think the honourable thing to do is to bring some closure to Suzanne's family and bring her home.
I was the last one to see her. She said, "Bye, Dad." She gave me a peck in the cheek, and that was it. That's the last I seen of her.
I knew that there was something far wrong, but I always thought we'd get her back.
Any information the public can give us in relation to where Suzanne may be, and if there's anything that you can remember from May 2010, when maybe you were out in any of those areas that we spoke about where you've seen a car that just didn't look right, didn't fit into the situation, or even a person that didn't look like they were dressed right for the area that we're walking in, give us a call and let us decide if that's something that we need to know about. And hopefully one day we can get that bit of information that just lets us get Suzanne back.